Hey everybody, it's David here. David's Thursday, and we're gonna do some painting. All right, week two. I hope you guys are all ready for two color today. So two colors today, and I've already done the painting, and I totally hated the colors I used. So we're gonna try something a little bit different. So let me see first who's here to welcome you guys. We have Rose, we have Barbara, we have Pamela, Becky. Who else we got? Sue, Mill, Joyce, and so here's what we did today already in class and in my Libertyville class. If any of you know me well, you know I don't like green. I really don't like green in my work. So I'm going to change the colors from red and green to probably orange and blue. So we'll use those complementary colors and stuff instead of the orange or the red and the green. And today we're going to be working with a Pipeworks billet from Chicago. It's a raspberry black tea beer. So cheers everybody, cheers. Here's to two colors today, two colors. Choose wisely everybody, choose wisely. So cheers. So let me go right and let me just show you for all the newcomers. If you want to get your picture to paint, you go on my website at BeckerArt.net. Go down here and you'll find the pictures from the last 3 weeks. And so this week we're doing the red flowers and the green, but I'm going to change it. I'll tell you why in a second. And also the supplies we're using are, as you see here, Holbein watercolors, Holbein brushes, and no Mascoid today, and we are using the Stonehenge Aqua. And so let me just talk a little bit about the painting itself. And so if you look, and the reason we're using two colors, like I told you last week, we used one color. And by the way, you guys, you did a great job on the cart and the horse, and a much better horse than I had put down there. And so what you're going to do is today we're using two colors. Last week we used one color, so we were worrying a lot about the values. That's all we had to worry about was the values. Today we got two colors, and so we'll decide on which two colors. And so when you pick the two colors, I'm going to say that kind of choose like between complements or close to complements. It doesn't really have to be. But I'm going to use probably on the one I'm going to do this afternoon, this evening, I'm going to do probably orange and blue in those fields. You know, if you have a little bit of bluish green, that's fine. But if you look at the value study, what you're seeing here is that the value study, the light color or the red is basically there are going to be our lights. But if you turn it black and white, you notice that it's not as light as you thought. So the color in this painting is going to really determine your values kind of study, because you can also use color to make your value study in a way. So the red right here is very bright, and the green is more grayish, so it pops and reads as a dark and a light. The flowers seem like a light, right? Because they are bright red. So you're going to use that as your light area. And even though in here, in the black and white, it isn't that much lighter. It's actually just middle tone. So that's another way of making it look and using color in your composition to make the value study not, you know, so this is a really crowded scene right here, but we're using all red in here. And so now if I made it all different colors, that would be another story, different. But we're making it very bright. And so we're going to use that as our light. And the bright and light kind of go together. And then in the background, we're using a green, or that's what's in the picture, in the photograph, which I'm not going to use this time, but I will show you. Let me just go to the tabletop here and just show you what I had done. So here's what I had done. Here's the painting I had done this afternoon. And it's red and green. I did cheat because the green I used was right out of the tube. It was I forgot what color it was now, but it was this color right here. It was kind of something Nova. It was just not a great green. And when I mixed it with black, it just looked terrible. And I don't like green as it is, and so I decided to put some yellow in it. And so I put some yellow into this at the very end because it was a horrible looking scene. And so by putting yellow into it, it made it look more realistic, because green a lot of times out of the tube doesn't look very realistic. And so if you're going to use green, mix your green maybe and put some yellow into it. And there's a lot of blue in this too. because this actually there's not that much blue in here. In my photo, in my screen, it kind of looks blue, but it's pretty much green. And since we're only allowed to use 2 colors today, I don't want you to think that you can use like a blue or something. I want you to really try to pick the 2 complementary colors or something. Any 2 colors, like I said, it doesn't have to even be complementary. But I'm going to be using an orange and a blue. And then, of course, you can mix black and white with it to make it light and dark. So let's go on. And if you have questions, please, again, on the side, just ask them. And I will try to answer them as I look. And then just another cheers, guys. Cheers again. Actually, this is about a number 8. About a number 8 beer. 8 paintbrush beer. All right, let's see who else is here. We got Jill. Hey, Jill. Mary. Hey, Marianne. Mill. Irene. We got Lynn, Mark, Dixie, and Tina. Thanks for dropping by. And also, guys, thanks for putting them on the Facebook page, the group page. It's really fun reading you guys' seeing your examples that you had done or your work, and also helping each other out. That's what the whole site was for, so that's awesome. So let's get going here, and I'm going to, like I said, I'm not going with the red and green. I'm going to put it up here, so if you want to do it this color, be my guest. You can if you like green and you want to make it look like the actual photograph with green, that's fine. You know, I have no problems with that whatsoever, and it worked out okay, but I'm just not a big fan. I'm not very fond of green. It's not one of my favorite colors. Of course, orange is my second favorite, so it'd be a little bit nicer. And then the red I used too was okay, but I should have used a little bit more paint. And so Thursday afternoons, I do the class, and they're pretty, and they know already that they're guinea pigs for this thing. So it always usually turns out better on this side. But so what we're going to do is we're going to go right away with our tulips. And also, everybody knows too that tulips are my least favorite flower too to paint. So it's a 2 doozy day. So here we go. We're going to start out with the orange. And so I'm just going to wet this area. Now remember, only use those 2 colors. 2 colors. I can only use the orange, and I'm going to use peacock blue. And when I use those colors, I can mix them together to make a gray and brown, but you cannot use any other color. Unless you're mixing a green and you have to use, like let's say you're using quinacridone gold and the blue to make a green, then you can use those 2 colors to make the one color. But don't use one by itself. Mix the color, and just I want you to learn as you go along here, because every week we're gonna add one more color. Next week it's gonna be three colors, and then it's full color. And there's a reason for this, and you'll see as we go along. And if you don't get my newsletter, please sign up for it on my website. And you'll get the instructions on why I'm using the red, or why I'm using the 2 or 1. And so now I'm wetting the light area, which is actually not the light area, it's the colorful area. But that's the area that's going to be separate from the background. And there is lights in the background, but I'm going to do this as the brightest part, so I want to get the bright in there. I'm just kind of wetting it. And I'm wetting it with a tint of color. Again, tints of color, for anybody who's new here, is a lot of water with a little bit of pigment. Washes I consider when you take a lot of the paint, like right here, and then I put it in there. And like I said, I'm going with orange this time. And it's kind of a dirty orange, so I'm going to have to kind of dig out some of my... I should have put some new orange in, because I want it really bright. I want it really bright. If I want a red orange, make it red orange, I could possibly do that, but I'm just going to try to do the 2 color like I had done in school when I was back at American Academy. And so if you go past the flowers, that's fine. I want to get a great looking wash in here. I want to just make them look like a great watercolor wash. And I noticed that if you want really bright color, you have to use a lot of that paint in the wash. If you're using red, you have to put a lot of the pigment in, because if you're just doing a tint of color, it doesn't show the color as much, so you need more pigment. The white of the paper is like a white paint, and so if you don't use enough pigment, it's not going to be bright red, it's going to be a pink. You're going to have a pink flower, and that's what happened here. I didn't use enough. A couple of the students did a much better job than I did, because some of this got pink. And so if you're using a white paper, you have to use more pigment to get it bright, a bright, vibrant color. So if you want vibrancy on your white paper, use more pigment. Use more pigment. And of course, if you want it to be a light I don't have to actually go light with it because it's going bright with intensity of the color. The color is very intense color. It's a very warm, hot, brilliant color. And this orange is also. I still want to go in there and maybe get some light white. I can do that too with like leaving a little white or putting mascoid down. I can do all kind of things. But so Cindy, first time. All right, thanks for coming by here. Oh, from Alberta, Canada. All my relatives are from Canada. So welcome, welcome. And so here we go. And Carol, hey Carol. Missed you in class last week on Saturday. And so here we go. So we're just putting in there, we're getting our, you notice how I'm not really drawing the flowers so much as I'm just putting them like a little bit darker on the bottom parts. And I could use a little bit of the blue in there to darken it, to make it grayer. But I'm not going to do that yet. I want the brightness. I need the brightness because otherwise I don't have a flower that stands out. And I don't have a value because this value is kind of dark. So I'm using the intensity of the color to get my value. Or my interest to you. I normally have never used this kind of thing where you're using the light and intensity of the object to create your value study, but it's a great lesson in the fact that if you don't have a chance to get a light in an area, then use a bright color. Use a bright color to make it really stand out, and so that your eye looks at this before it looks at the background. And so here I'm going in, putting in all my little lights. And lights meaning light and bright. Light and intense. Intense color, intense hue. And it's kind of fun doing this as a two color, because normally I would do this type of thing and I would put all kinds of colors in there. But since you're using only two colors, it's very simple for you to understand what you're doing. I mean, you don't have to think about, oh, should I put a red in there? Should I put a thing? No, just orange and blue. That's all I'm using. And that's what I have to use to make my value study and make my composition work. So there's the light and bright orange. I'm using Brilliant Orange, by the way, if you want to know that. Brilliant Orange by Holbein. And it's a wonderful orange. It's not this is an orange called Permanent Yellow Orange, but it's more yellow than orange. And so if you're mixing it with green or blue, it turns green. So what I could have done is use this and then use that with the blue to make a green. But I don't want to do that. I want to have more reddish orange. All right, so let's go right into our background. And so that's my lights, that's my flowers. And if you want to spend some time, let's say with a little bit thicker paint to get some of the look of the flower, like inside and stuff, and you feel like you want a soft edge, that's fine. You can do that now too. Let me just really quickly do some of the insides of the tulips. Hey Jenny, hey Lillian. Thanks for the liking my fox. The foxes are, I don't know if they're gone, but I didn't see them this evening. Usually they're out there at 7, but this morning I didn't see hardly. I think I saw one, so I'm not sure if they're going or if they're still there. So I'll let everybody know on Facebook, probably, and Instagram tomorrow. All right, so let's do our background now. So now my water is very orange, so that may affect a little bit of the blue, and hopefully this orange doesn't have as much yellow in it to make a green, because I don't want green. I guess I could want a green because I'm making a blue-green. And it'll probably make a little bit of a blue-green here, because what I'm going to do is, it's kind of like an aqua is what I'm going to try to get. And if I mix this blue with the orange, I'll probably get some kind of brownish color because they're complements. And so for my dark area here, I'm just going to kind of let that bleed in. And again, to make your paint stop when it's wet, the surface is wet, make sure you use a lot thick paint and then wipe off your brush and just pick up pure pigment. Pick up pure pigment when there's already water on your surface of your paper. Don't pick up water in your brush because you already have it down here, and then you can't control your edges. You can't control the amount of pigment you have to the paper and the wetness of the paper. Now I do want to mix some orange with it because it's too bright a blue for up there, so I want to kind of make it, a duller blue. And like I said, you can mix the two colors together that you're using, the two colors, but that's it. No other colors. You can't use anything else. It's against the rules for this assignment. This assignment is that you work 2 colors. And of course, black and white. You can use black and white to make a darker color. So if you use a light orange and you want to make it dark orange, just add black to it and you're fine. I'm okay with that. All right, I'm going to leave some of the white of the paper here. And I didn't wet this area, so I'm going to get little hard edges there. So I don't want it too contrasty in this area right here. I do want a little bit of light shining through. You can see it up here in this corner. It's a little bit light in that corner, so I'll do a little bit of that. And then this is the background, so I want to make it a little bit less vibrant blue than when I do the aqua kind of colors when it comes down here. There I want a bright blue. I want the and it's going to be kind of weird. I know, yes, it will be kind of weird that you got the plants being blue, but I'm the artist and I can do anything I want. All right. Any questions? Remember, ask me questions, guys. And so I'm going down the side here, and I'm just going to wet it as I go along, letting some of it bleed into the flower, because you can have the dark side of the flower too. Leaving some of the white to make it look like it's shiny on that one side, like it's really hot. Hot light is right on there. And now I'm going to do like a brown, because a brown when a blue and orange make it kind of a brown. So my stems will look probably a little bit more brown than anything. But first I'm going to go with the light parts of this area, of my dark area. This is supposedly supposed to be the dark area, or the different area. Sometimes not always between the dark, but between the grayer color and the brighter color. But simplify things. That's how you simplify things. You simplify your paintings that way, because you need to. You have to simplify it to a point where this is a very complex look. Again, let me just show you the value study real quickly. Look at how complex this looks right here. Where's my little arrow? See how complex this looks? So if this is a city scene, these are all people and all kinds of crowded, doesn't this look really complicated when it comes with the values? So you have to simplify the pattern of light or color. You have to simplify things so that you can see it and paint it easily, a little bit easier. So that's why I chose this one, is because when you turn it black and white, it shows you how complicated it is. But with a simple choice of 2 colors, makes it a lot easier. It makes it a very simple composition. And the best compositions are always the simplest ones, even though no matter how much material is in your painting. And this one's going to be easier to draw because it's just a tulip. I mean, how hard is a tulip to draw? So just be careful with your drawing always, because that's number 1. Your drawing has to be right on, spot on. But being spot on a tulip is not that hard. It's a bulb. And that's pretty much it, So just get that right and you're good. So here I'm just going to put some light blues, vibrant blues. I'm putting a little bit of vibrant blues in there. And it is darker than the orange, which is good. I'm just decided that's what I want to do, so that's what I'm going to do. And back up there, I've got some gray in it because I added orange to the blue, and so that's kind of fun. And so down here, we're going with the blue leaves. Don't forget leaves. A lot of the students are forgetting some of the leaves and just putting the stems. They do have leaves coming up out of the ground too, so be aware of that. And here maybe I'm going to rub out a little bit because it got kind of dark here. It's still gonna, it's just a different color, so it'll work great. And so we're going to go around here. I'm going to make it a little bit brighter. It's a little dull. And I want it a little bit brighter just so I can show the difference, because if I do the stem in a light, which I can rub out too, I can rub out some of the stems because some of the stems are light. And so I can rub them out afterwards, but I need a dark to rub out of. If it's not dark there, then I can't rub out. If it's light on light, then how am I going to rub out a light from a light area? So just darken the area a little bit, and you can rub out some of those stems. All right, see how I'm not mixing too much of the orange into the blue up front. I did up back here a little bit, and that's okay, that's cool. Any questions? Come on, guys, ask some questions. Or I'm gonna have to drink some more. Here we go. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. All right. That's not bad. Like I said, that's about a number 8. 8 paintbrush beer. And so here we have a couple of stems going up, and I know there's a little bit of light right here in the picture. There's a little light in there, like a sidewalk or something. I'm not putting that in there. I'm just going to keep it light and just make it light. And leave it to be the viewer to decide what's there. Just the light is fine. You don't always have to explain everything in your painting. Here on the bottom here, I'm going to mix a little bit of the orange with the blue because I want to have it a little bit darker in this part right here. And so I don't want it to be bright, but I want it to be dark. And so that's the way of making my darkest dark, is mixing the orange with the blue. And once this dries, then I'll be able to do some negative painting in here. And let's see, let's do a little bit more blue. And you're gonna want to dip into another color because that's the way you normally paint. So try to keep away from going into another color. I know it's just tempting because you're like, ooh, it would have a nice green be really good there, or this color there. Just try not to do that. Just try to stick with your two colors. It makes it easier. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, it makes it a lot easier. You don't have to think about what you're mixing. Yeah, I'm either mixing that or that. And so that's a simple way of painting. And actually a lot of artists I've been noticing online, they do that. And I just noticed again today in Alvaro Castanat, he had a couple painting he was showing, and it was basically black. He just used black on it and a little bit of red, I think, and stuff, and it just was gorgeous. I mean, it's nice. He got the right values, and he's got the very dramatic look when you're using black. And I should have pulled it off the internet and showed it, because I can do that with my system here. Next time we'll have to do some of that. So to see how some of this blue is reaching into the orange because it was wet, I wanted that. I wanted this to be wet, and so they just kind of go in there, and you get all these beautiful little fingers that you get from things being wet and things crawling around. I intentionally want that. I don't go away from that because that's just a wonderful thing that watercolor has to offer, and you want to keep that. And so that's what I do. I just keep it, and I let the watermarks be, because that's another thing that other things don't get. I mean, watermarks can be sometimes bad because they're in an area you don't like, but sometimes they can be really good, especially like in clouds or the edge of this flower. And a lot of times these hybrid tulips have a little bit of an overhang, and so they have that little bit of a squiggly edge like that. Let me just show you closer up, like some of the techniques that are happening in here. See, like how this is soft right here. This is getting a little bit of watermark, or it just gives you the little fingers, and this orange is bleeding into the blue. So it's all kind of neat stuff that's happening in there. And also I'm just wasting time here so that it dries. And come on, give me some questions. Can you describe your brush strokes? Okay, yeah, let me think. My brush strokes, I had a video, I think it was a while ago. I had a video on how to, because our brushes don't come with instructions, right? I mean, you go to the store, the art store, and you see these beautiful brushes all lining up there and stuff, and you look at them and you go, oh man, that's a great brush. But that's it. I mean, you see the name of it, and mine are BeckerArt brushes, but there's no instructions on how to use the thing. Like other materials and tools that you use, they always have instructions, kind of. But so you have to practice. Get yourself a sheet of paper and do things on the paper. Here's an old picture, or just an old painting. And so you take a brush and take like an old sheet of paper that maybe didn't work out and stuff, and see what the difference you can do with your brush. Like, I can handle this brush to make a leaf, like one of these things, by just kind of going like that. And look at it, I can make one leaf. That would be like a tulip leaf, right? I can make it come over this way. I can just come down, and the way you rotate it. And then the reason I know how to do that is because I just sometimes practice. I practice with this brush, and I'll practice with the other brush. And can I make rectangles really easily? Windows? Sure. You can do that because I practice with it. Practice and try things with your brushes. And does it spatter well? Yeah, I love spattering. Look at this. You can just spatter. You need to know how to use the brush, and you just can't do it on a painting. You have to do it on a scrap sheet of paper so that you know what you're doing. And actually put the water down and dump a bunch of pigment in there. See what happens when you dump a bunch of pigment in there. Or if you're choosing your two colors that you're going to use, see what happens when I take a little bit of paint and a lot of water, a thick amount of paint, and just practice brush strokes. Do it one night when you don't want to do the painting and stuff, and you just want to kind of practice and just doodle. I mean, it's a great way of doodling and just kind of figuring out how your brushes work. And a lot of times you'll get a nice abstract. I mean, you look at this, how nice the abstract will be coming out. All right? So do that. It's a very good exercise. All right, I think I waited long enough. Now I can go back in. Thanks. Who asked that question again? Let's see. That was Pamela. Thanks, Pamela. Thanks for asking that question. And the paper weight I'm using is a 300 pound. I always use 300 pound. I'm a stickler on using good materials. I don't want any bad papers and stuff. So I'm using the 300 pound Stonehenge Aqua. It sits on top more like than Arches does, but I love that. I love the fact that I can scrub out, which I'm going to show you right now. So I'm going to show you that I'm going to scrub out some of these light areas. So I'm just going to go here, I take water my brush, and look at this. I can just pull it out instantly. With Arches, because it soaks in so much, it's hard to do this. But here I can just pull out right away. I can pull out this paint, no problem. Look at this. I just rub it. I wet my brush, dry it, and because it's still a little bit, so my brush is damp, and I'm just pulling out little stems here and there. I'm going to the flower, and I'm just pulling out the stem. And some of these, what we're going to do is we're going to make them dark, but it's always good to make them light. You can make them light first and put them dark afterwards too. This one going down this way. There's one over here. This area is still a little wetter. So what it's doing, I'm dragging the darks that are up here, making it light and dragging that paint down to the bottom. And then the bottom turns dark because I'm pushing that to the bottom, the darks. And later on, I can just even take more of the blue and put it in there and make a dark stem on the bottom and juxtaposition of light to dark. Like this area down here will be light, and up here is going to be dark, so that the stems kind of come out that way. All right. So thanks for those questions, guys. I love questions. Hey, Josephine. Hey, Sonia. Hey, Pamela. Hey, Cindy. I see that you guys came in a little bit later, but thanks. Thanks for coming by. And so here I'm putting some dark stems in now. And I'm still waiting a little bit to dry. I'm going to show you how to do some negative painting. So in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take like a middle tone, and I'm going to make the light, instead of wiping out the stems, I'm going to take a dark. I'll mix the orange with the blue. And we're going to make kind of a brownish color. And I'm going to go in here, and what do I want to pop out? I want to, let's pop out this little leaf right here. And so this is a positive. Positive meaning the object is actually positive, dark on light. But then if I want to do a negative, and maybe I'm just going to do this with a dark blue. I'm just going to take the blue by itself. Again, get rid of my color, or get rid of my water. So if I dip in here and my brush is wet, I put the paint on and I just dip the one side of my brush onto the paper towel, and I turn it over, and now the color is on the opposite side. And so I can just go in here and I can just do the negative painting of this stem, and in between doing the background. So I'm actually doing the background by going around these stems that I kind of pulled out too. I could put a hard or dark stem in there too, and just making another layer by showing the back behind these stems. And it's kind of fun that I don't have to worry about what value or what color I'm using. I know it's going to be blue because it's the blue area. I'm not going to put that much orange in there, because I could put some orange in here. Like, let's say I want to float, because you know me, when I have water on my paper, I like to float things too. So I'll take a little bit of orange and float that a little bit into the blue here a little bit. You know, so I definitely float. I definitely float pigment when I have water down. And because the orange will be reflecting throughout the painting. It's not just the one area that it's going to be in the flowers. It's going to reflect into this area. But now, this is not going to be so much like a photograph, and it's not going to look like a photograph, because not very often will you see blue down here and the orange tulips. So this is more an artsy type of painting, because I'm making up the colors. Though if there was blue light, you know, somehow this strange light in the sky sometimes happens because of how the sun is hitting the clouds, and warm red light comes on it. You can get some really weird colors on things. So not to say that it would never happen. It could happen. You never know. But lightly, the photograph is not this. The photograph is just a regular, this is what the photograph is. And that's great, but I'm turning it into something different this time. And I'm going to show you the difference between that and why and how you can do that. You're here to learn something, and I just like to teach you a little bit of everything, not just how to trace and copy the photograph that you have. I want you to be creative and be able to create your own things. create your own artwork. It's, artwork is a very creative thing, and it doesn't have to be just copying what you see on a photograph. And that's what photographers are. That's what the photographers do. Photographers do. They that's the only thing they can do, is they can shoot what they see out there. They could take it into Photoshop and do other things to it later, and it can be creative also. I've seen a couple photographers do that. But the photographers have the idea that they have to wait for the perfect shot, where we can create the perfect shot and the perfect painting by just painting what we want. So here I'm putting some of these stems in there. And so maybe the darker side of the stem comes down here. And keep the other things light. And if I felt like I just want to make this all dark and then take some stencils in there, you can do that too. I've started working with some stencils, and it's kind of fun sometimes to work with stencils, where you take the stencil, just leave the whole area, just a beautiful wash, and then just take a stencil, put it over it, and rub out to get some of these lines that I'm creating now. So there's so many ways you can do things. You can also put texture there. Let's say you want a salt texture or plastic wrap texture if you want it in a wash. That's all determined by you, the artist who's creating. And that's why I'm explaining this to you that way, so that you can take things away from looking like the photograph and making them look more watercolor-like. And like using salt and using plastic wrap and using a sponge, that's all ways of using watercolor in a different way than what you can see in a photograph. Alright, so I'm just kind of going in here and getting my lights and darks. And a lot of people say you can't, once you put it down, you can't change mistakes, but you certainly can. As you saw, I can rub out something totally, like right here, I felt like I went over this part right here and by mistake, so I'm just rubbing that out. And now look at it, it's light again. And now I got the leaf there light. And if I want to make it look fresh, I just add water and add a little bit of pigment over that. So there's always ways of doing things in watercolor that, for some reason, people always thought that, yes, it doesn't make it look as fresh. If you can get it the first time, yes, it would be the best. But there's times when you just don't have that option. And so there's ways of making things look better. All right, let's see, we've got some questions here. If the flowers were yellow, would you use different shades of yellow to create the values in the flower? Or would you use a tiny amount of the complement purple to darken the yellow? You can do both, actually, Mel. You can do, I would use, like if you're using yellow, I would use like a gold, like quinacridone gold. And so the yellow, you can do that. And then when you want areas that glow, that's when you would use the gold. But if you want areas that have a little bit, let's say it's yellow, you can use a little bit of the purple underneath, because purple is going to make it gray. And so, yes, you can still use the purple, but if you want the flower to be bright, you would use more of a gold or darker yellow. And darker yellow is basically gold. And don't think orange is going to make your yellow, because orange is a different color. It's in the same field, but next to each other on the color wheel, but it's a different color. So go with the purple when you want to gray it, and go with the violet. Wait, let me see. Go with the violet when you want to gray the yellow, and when you want to just make it darker, go with but still keep the vibrance, then go with the gold colors, like quinacridone gold with yellow, with bright yellow. So you go like this, you take a yellow, and my yellow has green in it. I had blue in it, so because I was making green this afternoon. But if I took a yellow like this, then I take quinacridone gold, I take the gold right here, and I would just make it darker. See, it just makes it darker. Now again, I have blue on this thing because I was making green, but see, it just makes it darker. Where the violet, and this is not very good because this is very, very gray because I had blue in there. So if you're using pure yellow with pure quinacridone gold, you're going to get a nice shadow of the same yellow. It's like a yellow, darker yellow. But if you're using violet, I'm using lavender, it'll make it a gray. It'll definitely make it gray because it's complements, and so it'll make it a gray or a brown type of thing. Though this is going to be more brown because you're using a yellow and like a gold, and so that's going to make it a little bit brown too. But this, you can see, it's making it a little bit more gray. All right, thanks for the question, Mel. Awesome. Becky asked if you need to use complementary colors. No, no, you don't. If you like a purple and green, you know, a lime green and maybe a purple, that's not complement so much as the green is kind of like a yellow. But no, you don't have to use particularly exactly like blue and orange or red. And let's say you want to use, let's say, red and blue. Yeah, that's fine. You know, it's all fine. It's all good. And actually, it look probably pretty cool with blue and red, white, and blue, right? It'd be very patriotic. And so, no, you don't have to use complements. Experiment, try different things. You know, I always say, just try it. You never know. You're going to come up with the next new beautiful color scheme that's, you know, that they're going to use in the fashion. Because that, a lot of times it's good to look at fashion because a lot of times they go with different colors. And I remember a long time ago when they used purple and green, lime green. That was like a big thing to use that. Or don't use hardly any color on this. Make this more a black and white and just make it black and red. You know, do that as your two colors and make your black a color. You know, so it's almost like a one color. Actually, yeah, it would be like a gray, whatever. You get the picture. Use whatever you'd like. So here we go. I'm going to go in here now and just kind of get the outer edge of the flowers and kind of identify what the flowers are doing up here. And if I need to put like these trunks of the trees up here, I mean, I'm doing not that dark a contrast, so it looks like there's like trees up here and stuff in the background. I know they're over here, but I want to keep that a little bit light. I kind of like that light area right there. I mean, I could put some really light right here, like a tree trunk going up, kind of broken up. I mean, it is in the photograph. There's a tree right there, and I can put that in there. But really light. Again, I don't want to give too much attention and too much contrast in that area. Remember, my value pattern is these guys, and everything else is dark. Even though this is light, that's part of my dark area. I consider that kind of like my dark area because the background, it's background. And now I think I'm going to go in here and pick up. And again, I can use black. I haven't even used black yet, though. I've used the orange and the blue, and it makes it pretty black. And I used peacock blue, and this orange come out pretty dark when I'm using it. So right here, I want to pop this out a little bit here. So I'm just going to put a really dark in here, just to pop that out. And just like a third dimension in here. So you got the front, the middle, and the back. And then I'll make a positive going across that too. So not only do you have negatives, but you also got positives in here. So I'll start out because now if you have all positive, then you have all negative, then it kind of looks kind of strange if you don't have a couple positive things in there where the stem is dark on light. So it just gives it another layer. And this right here is all negative. So let's make this part, let's make one come right through here. That's positive. All right, and maybe another one through here. I mean, it's a lot of foliage and a lot of, I mean, stems and all these stuff, so it's fine to do that. Thanks for the great question, guys. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. I love good questions. Those are good ones. Those are very good ones. And thanks again also for doing these demonstrations and in these paint-alongs. It's really fun to see you guys. Boy, some of you guys are, I mean, everybody's really doing a great job on these. And yeah, I'm hoping you're learning something. Hoping you're learning a bunch of stuff that you can use. And hopefully one day I'll see you at a real live workshop. We got some coming up, and I got Dillman's going up. I'm not sure if that's full yet. Dillman's up in Lac du Flambeau, Wisconsin. And then after that, what do I have? One. I have a couple. I'm still thinking about these Zoom classes. It's just that I have not had much time lately. And it's going to happen. I just did a Zoom class for a art up in Hibbing, Minnesota. The Hibbing Art Guild, or the Borealis Art Guild up in Hibbing. They had me do a Zoom class for them, kind of a paint-along watercolor. That was kind of fun. And so if you have a club that you want me to come and do a little paint-along with or do a demonstration for, please give them my name. I would love to do one for you guys. So here we go. Now we're going to go back into flowers because now my background pretty much is going to be done here. Maybe a couple little leaves here too, just to kind of stems going up there, just to kind of make that look nice. And then let's go into our flowers because that's to be the last thing we do. And now because my orange is so fill it with blue, I've got to rub it out first because I'm going back into the flowers and I want a richness to the orange. So a lot of times what you do is you take a paper towel and just take out the top of that. Normally you don't have to do that much, but because we're just using the two colors, I'm just going to reach in there and grab some really fresh paint. And so now I'm going to go in here and actually do my hard edges, my darks of the orange. And I can put some blue in there, but not until I get this orange part done. I'm going to really go in there and get some hard-edged orange parts that are darker. So this is pretty thick, and I'm going to put maybe a little bit of dark right here. That's the inside of the flower. And then I'm just going to kind of go around here. Okay, let's see, put a little dark here. Oops. I can do the stem right here. And you can look at the photograph a lot of times to see what is going on in your flower. I mean, that's why you use the photograph for, so that you can see what actually is happening. I like to make things up because that's what my job used to be, to make things up from my head to draw. So I just know how a flower forms, and so I know by putting a dark on the inside, it'll make that petal look like it's coming on the outside, right? So this is the inside of the flower, and not sure that is even shown in the photograph, but I know that to be a fact because I've done enough painting to know that inside the flower could either be light or the petals be dark, one or the other. There's no other way. I mean, here you can tell this is darker on the inside. I could make it the opposite too. I could make the petal dark and make the background light too, which this petal right here, or the stem, is going to be dark and it's going to go to a light. So this goes like from a dark and now it goes right to a light, right? See that? See how that works? I love doing that. It's a watercolor trick, is to go from dark and then just let it go to a light. And actually even put some orange in some of this too. You know, and I know it's not like that in the photograph. It's definitely not like this in the photograph. I'm not sure you're going to find this painting in a photograph, but it's fun doing it that way. I love creating different things that look different from, and that's how you get into award shows too, is that you're making a photograph or a painting that no one else has ever seen before, not even in a photograph. That's, you don't want it to be different. You want it to look original. And that's what they look for. The judges look for like originality and try to get something that they've never seen before that just wows them. And you got to give them a wow. You got to look and say, "Whoa, man, look at that painting." And for anybody that's in the Midwest near Kenosha, they're opening up the TWSA show on the 1st of next month, May. And so next week, let me see here. Yeah, next week, this Saturday, they open the show, but I think it's on Saturday they open the show. And the place will be open not on Monday, so I'm taking a group there. I'm going to be there at 10 a.m. in the morning on the 4th, which is a Tuesday, in Kenosha, the Kenosha Public Museum, where the exhibit is going to be. So if you're around the area, that's where I'm going to be, and you can follow along with me. I'm going to just take a tour through the show. I do that every year, if I'm in it or not. I did get a painting accepted into it this year, and so I'm going to see what it looks like hanging next to all these other great paintings. And I just found out this year too that I've gotten into the show 10 times or 9 times, and so next year if I get in, I'll finally get my master status. So next year is going to be an important one to I'm going to really try to do a really cool painting for that, for the 10th year of getting into TWSA. I just started AWS like last year was the first time I entered. I never entered it because I never thought anything good enough for AWS because I know how good that show has to be. So hopefully we can get something into there one of these days. And hopefully you guys too, because you guys are learning. I mean, you guys are learning that you guys can start putting your stuff in. I mean, some of the stuff, now don't put what we're doing here and don't try to do that. But definitely try to, do some paintings and use all the stuff that you learned here and get some paintings going. Here again, I'm just doing details now. I'm taking my orange. I'm not using much blue this time because I wanted to stand out. I want the images to stand out and the flowers to stand out. Here I'm making the stem orange just to make it come forward a little bit. It looks kind of neat that way too. I think it's on top of the blue, and I wiped it out first, and so now it looks kind of neat having a little bit of orange in there. Oops, I covered up my... Any questions? Nope. So here a little bit of... Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spatter. I don't know if you can see in this one, I spattered up a storm here. Nope, I got to get this out of my way. I can see. So here, close up, I spattered some stuff in the sky in here. So I just spatter. It just gives it a little bit of a texture and stuff, and I thought that was kind of neat. So go ahead, and if you want to spatter it, and watch your neighbor or watch areas around you. If you're with a group of people painting in class today, I maybe made the wall a little bit dirty in the classroom, because you just have to watch it. Just watch yourself. A little bit of blue right here in this flower. Maybe inside here, even a little blue to make it darker. Don't change the paint. Don't change the flowers into being poppies, because I know the one down here almost looks like a poppy. These are what you call it, tulips and not poppies. But if they start looking like poppies, that's fine too. Don't worry about it. All right, I think I've just got a spatter, and that's going to be it, guys. Wow, we got done way early today. It's fun doing flowers because they're not drawing wise. They're a little bit easier to draw. You know, you can have some fun things going on in there, and so you don't have to worry so much about the drawing being exact like on a portrait and stuff. And next week we're going to do 3-color. I still don't know yet what the subject matter is going to be, but it'll be something fun. And I'm also looking for an artist that teaches tricolor combinations and stuff. And I forgot who that artist was that some of my students had taken her class. So I'm going to find out from my class who that lady was. I kind of want to see how she explains using 3 colors, or how to get your 3 color swatches to be, you know, the colors that you use for your assignment, for your painting. So we'll see how that goes next week and who that is, and I'm going to see if I can study that a little bit. So I'll find that out for you guys. And while I'm doing that, I think the next thing to do is spatter. All right, and I can spatter with orange and white, because I haven't used any white or black on this one, really. I can't believe it. I just used the 2 colors. I didn't even use black or white this time. And so I'm going to take a little bit of white to spatter a little bit, I think. And I like to spatter with the more round brush, because it gives me, I can hold a little bit more liquid in there. So I'm just going to, again, mix up some of this orange. Almost dipped into there, but this orange. Maybe a little bit of white. I like to tap on this brush, and I'm just going to give a little... This is a hybrid. It's called the Becker tulip. It's a tulip I like better. And so I'm just... And if you want to go straight down and get dots, if you go to the side, you're going to get swooshes. And so decide on what you kind of want for your spatter. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So if I go sideways, it shoots it across. And if you go straight down, it makes you dots. And then I should definitely do some blue too. So if I get some orange, we gotta get some blue too. Some people think this is messy, and it makes their paper, and it kind of ruins their paper because it's all messy. Then don't do it, okay? I enjoy it. I love it. I think it's kind of cool. All right, so I think we got some questions here. All right, Jane teaches color. Try it. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Maria. Thanks for letting me know that. I'm going to look her up. Let's see. Thanks, Josephine. And Marianne, I really like this paint. Oh, thanks a lot. Just one opinion, but I really like the blue and orange best. Oh, cool. Thanks. I actually kind of like it better, too. I mean, here you have the 2. And the blue and orange to me is just a little bit... I don't know. To me, I like these colors better. I'm just not a big fan of green, and so if you're not a big fan of green, don't use green. That's all I gotta say. Let me see, any other questions? Have you ever used a straw to blow the paint through? No, I've seen a lot of people do that. I'm just too scared of maybe sucking up that paper, that dirty water, or sucking up the paint. So I've never done that yet. I've seen people do it. I have used a what do you call those little the airbrush thing that you put in your mouth, the atomizer. I've used one of those, and I make a mess. Toothbrush, yes, Tina, toothbrush is great. I don't have one here right at the moment, but I also have used toothbrushes And so that's also a good way of getting texture. And if you don't like some of the tape or the things that you're doing on there, like say like this area right here, it got a little bit much, then just dab it. Just dab a little bit. It comes right up. It just comes right up if you don't want it in that area. But the flowers, I like them having on there because it just gives them more realistic. I don't know. I mean, the nature is pretty dirty, you know, sometimes, and just so it's kind of neat to have that in there. Let me just show you close up so you can see a little bit better on how I got the spatter in there. I mean, some people don't like it, so don't do it. Like I said, don't do it. If you don't like it, just don't do it. And let me just pull the tape off, and then we got another week here, guys. So send me your questions if you or ideas of what you want to paint. I'm always looking for ideas of what you guys want to paint or what you're having problems with your paintings and stuff. I'm always looking for lessons for people that have certain problems with certain things. Be my guest and put them up there. Or email them to me on my website. You can go to my website and there's a place you can ask comments, or you can email me. And my email address is also on there, so you can just email me. You can do it on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to message me, you can do that too. And let me know that you hate orange and blue. That's fine too. And so here we go. Let me see what we've got here. So we got the orange and blue, and we've got the pink and red. And let me just go to this bye-bye screen. And so there I am in the corner. So thanks again, guys, for another great lesson. I hope you like using the two colors. And again, choose your and try some other colors that I didn't use here. Maybe use purple and yellow. I think that would be really cool. What reds did you use in the green and the red tulips? Both of them. This one I used Scarlet Lake. I used Scarlet Lake red for that one, and the green was a like an Emerald Nova or something like that. I wouldn't recommend that green. Mix your own green. You can do that by mixing, your quinacridone gold with the blue, and just stick with that one blue, and that'll be your second color. It's just do two colors like that, and keep it at the two colors though. Don't try to get different kinds of greens. Just use the one kind of green. Like this is just a one blue. It's peacock blue, and if you want to make it darker, you just add the orange and stuff. Is what I used here. Again, and also somebody last week when we were using one color, a couple of you have used some great colors, and so find some colors that you really love. Definitely use colors that you love, and then just make them darker. And so let's see if you have any more questions. I think we're all good, huh? Did I miss any questions? I'll look up there and see if there's anything else. Just one minute. Okay, no, I read that. All right, guys. So for this week, and have fun with two colors. I can't wait to see what colors everyone uses. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I always happy to see, and thank you so much for putting them up there on my Facebook page, my Facebook group page. And so here's to next week, 3 colors, and thanks for the name of the lady too. All right. Let's see. I couldn't picture this color combo, but it's great. Always try something. Always try it. All right. See you guys later. See you next week.